Take a look at some of the stories making headlines in and around the East African region of our continent. We zoom into this with the help of journalist and team lead at Grassroot Journalism Kenya, Denis Beru. Good morning, Denis. How are you on this Tuesday?
Good morning, Asanda. I'm fine. I hope you are well.
As well as can be. We have to just keep pushing. I know it's difficult, our job as journalists, where we have to hear tragic stories of children, school children dying in car crashes, but we have to do our job, so we have to be okay with that. But let's start with Uganda. President Yoweri Museveni winning another term in office. He's the president for the seventh term now, with about 71.6% of the vote that went to him, according to the Electoral Commission, and his main rival, Bobi Wine, receiving just 24%. Your thoughts?
Yes, Asanda. Museveni has been re-elected on a seventh term, and the country's electoral commission has officially announced after a tense campaign marked by an opposition crackdown and internet blackout. 81-year-old won with 71% of the vote, the commissioner said on Saturday. And he defeated his main challenger, a 43-year-old Bobi Wine, who received only 24.2% of a vote, according to the official results. And Museveni's widely expected victory comes after an election campaign that the United Nations said was marred by widespread repression and intimidation, including crackdown on opposition rallies. And Thursday's election also unfolded amid a nationwide internet blackout that drew international criticism. And Bobi Wine's a singer turned a politician whose real name is Robert Changulani, had claimed on social media on the election day that massive staffing was also taking place. Asanda, we all know that there were a lot of things happening during the election day, and according to the spokesman of his opposition party, National Unity Platform, told reporters on Saturday that the results were a sham. And Bobi Wine said earlier in the day that he had escaped a police and army raid on his house. Museveni is expected to be stunning, and we have seen East African counterparts, the presidents of Tanzania, even in Kenya, sending the congratulatory messages for his seventh term re-election.
So how should the criticism against this election be handled? As you mentioned, civil society groups under the banner of the Pan-African Solidarity Group, they've called this election a sham. And also the main opposition party, the National Unity Platform, has rejected this decision, and they even staged a protest here in South Africa, those who are based here. How should it be handled, the criticism that Yoweri Museveni should not be president of Uganda?
Yes, we have seen even here in Kenya, the activists and human rights defenders, we've seen them, they have raised their concerns about, how the Ugandan election were held. And they're also even calling upon the international community. And some in social media we saw saying that, our democratic rights, are being, are denied, and what has been happening, international community is silent. African Union is not saying anything. They're even calling the U.S. government, Donald Trump, to come and intervene. But some sources from Uganda say that, of course, Museveni feels that even his votes were rigged. He was supposed to get over 80% of the votes, but we have seen what happened even at Bobby Wine's home in Uganda, where it is alleged that military officers raided on his home, and we are even told that some of his supporters were killed. So there's still pressure from civil societies, activists across East Africa, calling on international community to intervene so that the rights of Uganda can be heard.
Let's move to Tanzania now. The president there, Samia Suluhu Hassan, has issued an apology for an internet shutdown that was happening during elections. So they had a similar situation to Uganda, where during that election time, the internet was shut down. This apology, however, is being issued to diplomats and international visitors who were affected by not being able to be online for their business activities and so forth. But she hasn't said anything to her own people. What do you make of this?
Oh yeah, people are talking about her sentiment and her apology to the international diplomats or foreign diplomats who are affected by internet crackdown during the country's general election last year in October, and the nationwide blackout lasted for nearly a week after polls as political attention flood, the aftermath of the votes and elections were followed by post-election violence, which left undisclosed number of people dead. And Suluhu coming, apologizing to diplomats, embassies, and without, saying anything about, the people who were killed. In the after the elections were marred by irregularities. Of course, people are questioning why. Are you trying to please the international community? Are you trying to appeal to please the investors in the country? Yet we all know that so many Tanzanians were killed during the violence. And of course, in our remarks, Suluhu also acknowledged the impact of the shutdown on international community and said that, of course, government was aware of the challenges it had created. So, Asanda, of course, Tanzania had previously justified restrictive measures during the period of unrest as necessary to maintain public order, but the incident has renewed debate over the use of internet blackouts during the elections.
Somebody who does seem to be putting their own domestic issues and their own people above international communities is the Madagascan president, Mozambique's president rather, Daniel Chapo. He's decided to cancel his trip to the World Economic Forum to focus on rescue efforts and helping his people survive the flooding that's been severe in his country. It's been over a month now that this has been a challenge. Over 500,000 of Mozambicans are said to have been affected by these.
Yes, Asanda, we've seen the president, Daniel Chapo, canceling a trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos after floods in southern African nation killed dozens of people and left 1,000 of houses damaged or destroyed. And as you mentioned, 500,000 people have been impacted by floods from heavy rains that began last month, according to the National Institute for Disaster Risk Management and Reduction, which reported that about 105 weather-related deaths and a large swath of Mozambique and neighboring South Africa, which at the weekend declared flooding their national disaster, had record rainfall in January between 11 to 15 period, according to the preliminary data from the Climate Hazards Center for the University of California, Santa Barbara. And Mozambique's weather service issued a fresh warning of heavy rain throughout Monday for the affected areas, and part of the region had already experienced a record rainfall in the weekends. And President Daniel Chapo, we saw him hovering in a chopper while helicopters were rescuing people, and this shows that, of course, he has the interest of the people at heart. Canceling a forum that was really important for him to attend, but rather to ensure that he is part of the rescuing mission that we've seen, as the rain has really affected so many Mozambican, and we are also having some information that, of course, the rains might continue, and this is a national disaster for the Mozambican.
Leave it there for now, Dennis. Thank you so much again for your time. We always appreciate your insights. Denis Beru, journalist and team leader at Grassroot Journalism Kenya. Just a minute after 6:30 Central African time. Let's say good morning for our news headlines is Jwalani Tulo Ngwepe.